Welcome back to the channel, guys. And look, it's been another interesting weekend of European football, top 5 league European football, and we're back with episode 3 of Fiend's Final Take. And a couple things I want to touch on in this video. Obviously, the big Premier League games, the big teams that we saw this weekend, some of the big La Liga results. Interesting things happening in these leagues: La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and Liga. All interesting storylines to cover in this video, so I'm excited to talk about it. Guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and continue the support. We're growing at an exponential rate. Like in the last month, I think we've grown like 80 subs or something like that. So I'm so grateful to everybody, and let's just keep it going. So I think the first place to start is obviously the biggest game of the European football weekend, Liverpool versus Arsenal. And this was a game where I expected, when I saw the lineup that Arsenal put out, I expected them to be a little bit more defensive, right? So I thought the onus would be on Liverpool to attack them, to press them, to put pressure on that Arsenal defense. And I saw Rice, Merino, Zubimendi, 3 basically defensive-minded midfielders, and then a back four of 2 center backs, but 2 hybrid center backs, guys that can play wing back and can also play center back. So I knew it was going to be a difficult game for Liverpool to break them down, and it proved so in the first half. There was nothing in the first half at all. It was really just Arsenal bombing forward down that right-hand side with Madueke and just forcing corners and taking. And I'm so grateful that all their corners were out swinging. Like there was no Saka to take them, there was no Odegaard to take in swinging corners. It all had to be out swinging corners, and that played into Liverpool's hands because we know Arsenal are strong on set pieces. If that had been on the other side of the pitch, God knows what would have happened. But the game was decided ultimately by just a world-class free kick. And I know people were trying to say, oh, David Raya should have saved it. You know, he moved a little bit, but still the way the ball, the power and the swerve and the bend on that strike, there's not many keepers in the world that can save a strike of that caliber. So I think it was a game where both managers understood that they could not lose the game. And I think Arteta went into that game thinking, I don't want to lose this game. For me, as a Liverpool fan, I would have liked to see a more open, entertaining game. Because I do believe that when it all comes down to it, Liverpool's attack is better than Arsenal's attack. So if it's an open game, we will succeed more than they will. Right? So I'd like to see Eze from the start. Wanyeri could have came in. So I just think it was a little bit too defensive, the approach. But I mean, understandably, 30th game of the season, away from home, missing some of your best players. Saliba goes down injured. You don't want to go too gung-ho and lose the game, right? You want to make Liverpool beat you. And it took only a moment of magic for Liverpool to beat them. So credit to Arsenal. I think they played a great game. They had a good game plan. It's an unstoppable moment. There's not really anything you can do about it and complain about it. So but credit to Arsenal, credit to Liverpool. They both played an exceptional game, not in terms of like the footballing quality, but in terms of the game plan and kind of how they wanted to stifle and frustrate the opponent. They both succeeded in that. It's just a game that, for the neutrals, you wouldn't really want to watch again. One of the more interesting results of the weekend was Man City losing away to Brighton. Brighton 2, Man City 1. And when Man City took the lead with Erling Haaland, I'm thinking, okay, this is a Brighton team that hasn't really performed well this season. They've been vulnerable. The defense has been vulnerable. This could be Man City's way of coming back after that disappointing Spurs result last week and kind of finding form again, right? Just put your foot on their necks and continue to press them, get 2, get 3, blow the game out the water. But it didn't really happen like that. Right, you saw Brighton slowly grow into the game as the game went on, grow into the game, and this is my issue with Man City. When I put my predictions out there and I said there are 4 teams that could win the Premier League, but I still don't think Man City will win it. The reason I said it is because I don't trust their defense. I don't trust the defense. When you have Mateus Nunes as this is one of those guys at Wolves that people looked at as one of the best up-and-coming young midfielders in European football. Right? He could go to one of the top teams, kind of dominate the midfield. He has an engine, can play make, has a great strike on him. Like, this is a great central midfielder that can be developed. Goes to Man City and he's turned into a right back. That's not his position whatsoever. That's not what he's best at whatsoever. Yes, he can do a job here and there, but against teams like Burnley, against teams like AFL Cup games. This is not a guy you want to play against European quality teams. You know, like top 8, top 7 sides. That's what Brighton is. And when he concedes that penalty, I'm just thinking to myself, you need a right back, Man City. No, not Rico Lewis, not Mateus Nunes. No, not putting Kusunov or John Stones or whatever creepy, weird thing you want to do. Get an actual specialist right back and play him there. But Pep, does he not want to do that? Play Mateus Nunes there is going to cost you more than it's going to benefit you. Concede the penalty, and when James Miller steps up, mind you, James Miller with the 20 on his back, shout out to him, a classy act, right? To change his number to honor his friend Diego Jota, and then he scores the goal and celebrates with the celebration as well. So that's an amazing moment for Milner and the Brighton fans. And I think now he's a couple appearances away from Gareth Barry for the all-time. So hopefully, you know, if it's just to give him a minute at the end of every game, just so he can get it, I think Brighton should do that. So, but then they just continue to grow into the game, and as the second half wore on, it looked like only Brighton were going to win that game. And when Brian Gruder eventually gets the winner, I'm thinking to myself, man, this is exactly why I don't think Man City can win this league. This is the exact reason. Not just because their defense is weak, they just seem weak in general. Physically, they get dominated physically. This is not the same team with David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and Sane, and you can't just dominate everybody anymore, right? You need more. You don't have the best squad anymore. You don't have the best players anymore. You need more. And I'm looking at Pep, I'm thinking, I'm not one of those people that's afraid to question Pep. I'm not afraid to question Pep. I'm looking at him the last 2 seasons. I'm starting to see, hey, when you don't have the best player in the world, when you don't have far and away the best squad in the world or in the league, what can you do? Can you develop new players? I'm looking at Pep with a serious question mark. I'm looking at Man City and thinking, man, I mean, I think they have too much quality not to make top 4, but it's not going to be a breeze. It's not going to be a cakewalk, right? Because they're already falling behind, and the teams, I some of the teams they're competing with are, you know, they're not far and away ahead of them, but anybody can have a go at this Man City side. You look at the likes of Bournemouth. You look at the likes of Fulham, Crystal Palace. These are the teams that can beat Man City the way they're playing right now. So I'm not saying Pep should be sacked, but I'm saying serious questions have to be asked. Because what I'm seeing in the last 2 years, nah. This is not Pep, and this is not Man City that I've grown to hate. This is not the same team. But they're in the transition, but it's not the same team whatsoever. Burnley. United. Wow. Where do I start with this game? So for the first half, I think Man U had like 15 shots. Just peppering the Burnley goal consistently. I'm thinking to myself, how is this game only 1-0? This is one of those games where when you have 15 shots, I look at shots like the amount of shots you take should result in a goal. For every 10 shots you have, or for every 8 to 10 shots you have, you should have a goal. Otherwise, you're just taking crap. So when they had 15 shots, I'm thinking you should have at least 2 goals. And Mbeumo had some chances. I might have some chances. I'm thinking to myself, where are the goals? I said in my predictions that I would see Man United finishing a little bit higher up the table this season because they would score more goals. Cunha goes out with an injury. Looks like a hamstring. I don't know how serious it is. It could be a month. It could be 6 weeks. But he's probably gone for all of September, right? And you don't want to rush him back either. Sesko, I think he had a little cramp or tightness in the Carabao Cup exit to Grimsby Town. He got some minutes at the end. Not really convincing. Xerxes came on for Cunha, not convincing. And Mbeumo played well, but he missed some chances that he should have taken. He still got his goal. But it's looking like Mbeumo's going to carry Mbeumo and Bruno. But what was the point of spending all this money if he's going to rely on Bruno again? You take the lead, you squander the lead, you get the lead back. Burnley responded within like 10 minutes in the second half. Maybe you get the lead back, and then Burnley respond again. And I'm watching this game, I'm thinking to myself, you're going blow for blow with Burnley FC. And all due respect to Burnley fans, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this is Burnley. This is not a top caliber team. At home, you should be beating this team 3-1, 2-0 comfortably, especially with the first half you had. Why are you struggling with Burnley? And I look on the sideline, I see Ruben Amorim with his feet up, just looking like, looking distressed. Bro, you can be distressed, but you can't look distressed. I mean, I don't care, but the media, the fans, the optics around it just looks poor. But United end up getting a penalty. You can say it's soft, Jenny Anthony. You can say it's whatever. It's a penalty. It's a penalty at the end of the day, right? And with what Bruno did last week, you're thinking to yourself, as Man United fans, oh my God, please, not again, please, not again. And Bruno missed a penalty at Grimsby Town. Obviously, he's not going to take it. You're not going to take it out, Bruno. It's a great penalty. And then they celebrate as if they just won the Euros, won the World Cup. Like, it's the most passionate celebration I've ever seen from Bruno, I think, other than a cup win. That's how much it meant to these guys. I'm thinking to myself, are these guys still committed to Amorim? Are they fighting for him? Is there some element of, this is my Portuguese brother. I can't let him down. I have to do whatever I can to make sure that he stays on the job. Is it an element of that? Because the way I see it, I don't see Man U's play really improving because I think the personnel and the tactics are poor. I'm struggling to see a world where Man United perform better on a consistent basis. Right? I had hope that, okay, with the new signings, they'll look a little bit better. Let's see what kind of happens with this new goalkeeper that you just signed. I think the Belgium, is he Belgium or is he Dutch? Lamens or something like that. He can be worse than Onana or Binder. So maybe that'll help them generate some more points moving forward. But another disappointing overall performance. The first half was great. Second half was just poor. You can't get outplayed at home by Burnley in the second half of a Premier League game. You just can't. Especially at home. You just can't. But win for Man United, first win of the season. Credit to them. And they keep pushing from here. Fulham, a little London derby. Now, Chelsea are one of those teams that I look at them and they're so interesting. They're so enigmatic. One game, they look like the best team in England. The next game, you could be like, how are these guys Club World Cup champions? How are these guys, like, what am I watching? That first half, yes, people are going to talk about the disallowed goal. I think even if it's unintentional, a foul is a foul. We know this. We know even if you're not looking at someone in the penalty box and you kick your leg up looking at the ball and you foul them, it's a penalty. So it's not. I think was it Muniz or whoever it was that stomped on the Chelsea player. It's not intentional, but it has to be disallowed. And from that point on, I just feel like it sucked all the energy out of Fulham and gave all the energy to Chelsea, and they just took momentum from there and carried on with it. And, it's just a basic Chelsea 2-0 win over Fulham, kind of a standard Chelsea win. But a couple of things I took away from this game. One thing I took away from this game was Joao Pedro might end up being Chelsea's most important player this season. It's not that he's the best player, but, let's see how long this Cole Palmer injury lasts. But we know what Cole Palmer is going to do. We know what he's going to provide throughout the course of the season. But you have a player in Joao Pedro that can play the 9. Now with the lap out injured, you can play the 10 if you want to put Palmer out wide. You can play the left 10, left winger kind of role, inside forward kind of role. He can play a variety of roles, and he's shown that he can be consistent. Since he joined Chelsea from the Club World Cup to this point, he's been consistent in every game. Right, he's been one of the better players on the field for Chelsea in every single game. So I can see him being a key player. I'm thinking 20 contributions over the course of the season. This guy can give you 10 and 10. I genuinely believe that. And then Enzo Fernandez rounds it off with a penalty. And Enzo Fernandez, there's been weird discourse around Enzo Fernandez about how he's behaving, about the kind of attitude, how he's talking to some of the staff. I don't know the ins and outs of Chelsea Football Club. I'll be interested to hear from Chelsea fans what is going on. Is it, is it contract? Is it he wants to move on? Is it, I don't know what it is, but it seems a little bit snappy with him, right? So, but it's a great win for Chelsea. A win you would expect them to have, and now they move on to the next game. Maybe the shock result of the weekend was Spurs losing at home to Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth is one of those teams that you never beat Bournemouth with ease. They will fight you until the 90th minute. But this game wasn't necessarily a fight. When I was watching this game, I was counting in my head the amount of shots that Bournemouth had. And let me pull it up and show you guys. The first half, I don't think Spurs had a shot at all. I don't think Spurs had a single shot in the first half. Let me see. They didn't. 59% possession, 0 shots. Bournemouth had 10 shots. Listen, it is completely inexplicable for you to be a home team in a Premier League game. Let me not say home team. For you to be one of the big 6 sides, one of the top 10 sides, and you go an entire first half of football without generating a single shot. That's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen I've seen so many embarrassing things from Spurs, but it was like as if they weren't even trying. I'm thinking to myself, this is the same Spurs that just beat Man City last week. And so many tweets, so many people said things like, beat Man City this week. So many people said that Spurs will beat Man City this week and they'll just lose the next game. Just inexplicable. And look at the performance they put out. Spurs fans, you thought this was done. You thought Ange left and this was done. You're going to go back to playing good football that would still generate wins and you wouldn't be frustrated after every game. And look at this. Look at this drivel. Look at this mess. I think Spurs ended the game with like 5 shots, which is still embarrassing over the course of a Premier League game. As a big club like Spurs, that's shameful to only have 5 shots in a game. I think Bournemouth had like 20. Just peppering the Spurs goal, chance after chance after chance. I have to give credit once again to Antoine Semenyo. This guy, no disrespect to Bournemouth, this guy cannot be at Bournemouth next season. This guy he's a Europa League, Champions League player. Consistent like every season. He needs to be on the big stage. Because the way this guy moves, the way this guy dribbles, left, right, strength, pace, technique, vision. This guy skins every fullback he comes up against. Put him on the right wing, he skins all left backs. Put him on the left wing, he skins all right backs. And Evanilson, credit to Evanilson because look, guys, this Brazilian World Cup squad, they don't have a number 9 right now in my estimation. Okay, they don't have. Who's gonna be? It could be anyone of Richarlison, João Pedro, Evanilson. These guys they're all fighting for the number 9 spot. And when I look at all 3 of these strikers, I think to myself, in terms of proper number 9 strikers, Evanilson is the best option out of all 3 of them. So Evanilson, if he continues to perform, and I think what's going to end up hurting him is Bournemouth. This guy can score 15 goals comfortably, I think, in the Premier League. He can do it. But I think that the fact that he plays for Bournemouth might hurt him. But it's a great goal. It's a great goal from a player that I look at and I think to myself, this guy can be a number 9 for one of those top, Europa League clubs, comfortable Europa League clubs. Teams like, Brighton. Just teams that have been more consistently finishing in higher positions than Bournemouth. Like Bournemouth can do it again and finish, 6th, 7th, then all credit to them, right? But can he make that move? Like someone that could be Spurs number 9, for example, right? He could be Spurs number 9. He could have been Man United's number 9. Like I think he's that caliber of player. So great win for Bournemouth. Embarrassing loss for Spurs. One of those losses that you just look at and you really can't quantify. Just, I don't know. It's when you watch a game like that as a Spurs fan, you can't help to just be thinking, damn, is this all a lie? You can take the manager away, but the players are still there. It's still the same Spurs mentality. Now, let's see what happens with the signing of Xavi Simons. A little bit more creativity in this Spurs side. That might help them generate some more chances, some more goals, because it seemed too much of Kudus. We're relying on Kudus. You're not going to get that creativity from Beren Johnson on the left wing. You're just not. You don't have Madison. You don't have Kulusevski. You kind of need Xavi Simons. And it's Simons or Bergval as your creative options. If not, neither of them are playing or starting, you're not creating anything, honestly, unless it's Kudus. So, interesting game, interesting result. And then let's just run through a couple interesting results. Sunderland, Brentford, two teams that a lot of us had in the relegation scrap. But Sunderland, man, that's 2 wins. That's 2 wins. Sunderland are looking very, very good. And I talked about in the early video all the signings that they made. You know, the likes of Adingra, the likes of Xhaka. Is it Broby that they're trying to bring in? There's another number 9 they're trying to bring in. I think the Mark Gui wants to go back to Chelsea because of the injury to the lap. So they've been making movements. Traore, I think, is it Habib Traore? Let me check it. Habib Traore, Habib Diarra. Sorry, great central midfielder, young, athletic, energetic. So they're making some good signings, and they look like they're gonna fight to stay in this league. I can't look at them and just think they're going down. But Brentford. I don't know anymore. Everton, second win of the season. Credit to them. I had Everton as one of my overachieving clubs, and they're proving me right now. Look at guys like Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is the kind of player that needs to be in a mid-table club as a maverick. You know, kind of what Cunha and Mbeumo were before they moved to Man United. That's what Jack Grealish should be. You're not gonna sit on the left wing at Man City and just pass it back. You need to kind of have that where the fans adore you. You know, there was a scene of him, the fans hugging him, not wanting to let him go. That's Jack Grealish in a nutshell. Leeds, Newcastle, two teams that have just been generally unimpressive, and I think for the most part will continue to be unimpressive throughout the course of the season. Newcastle got their signings in, their strikers in, Wissa, Voltemade, so hopefully they'll generate some more goals, but yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good so far. West Ham is a team that I anticipated they will lose to Forest, and then they just scored 3 goals in 10 minutes? 84, 88, 91. Yeah, 3 goals in basically 10 minutes. Where did that come from? Lucas Paqueta pledging his allegiance to West Ham. It looks like the good times are coming back, but like I said, you can never trust Graham Potter. I don't trust that guy. Crystal Palace beating Aston Villa. Aston Villa have probably been the most underwhelming team in the Premier League so far this season in terms of the expectations that they have. They've been poor. All 3 games they've been absolutely poor. So I don't know what's going on. The interview with Emery and the reporter asking about Martinez, he's like, Marco Bizot. It seems like his head's already gone. And some Arsenal fan mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of days ago. They said the same way that he flopped that top 4 race with Arsenal a couple of seasons ago, and then they fell off the following season. The same way he flopped with Aston Villa last season, he's fallen off with them again this season. Look out for that prediction, because that's a great point, and I'm kind of seeing it, because Aston Villa have looked terrible these 3 games. Maybe the international break will refresh them, but yeah, it's been poor. Nothing to write home about. So that wraps up our Premier League games. Let's talk about some La Liga games, some interesting La Liga games. Real Madrid, Mallorca. Now, Madrid in the first half, yes, Mallorca scores the goal, Murici with the header. And then you're thinking to yourself, it doesn't really matter, because I watched 2 games, Madrid against Mallorca last season. I think both of those games, Madrid had a combined, I'm not even joking when I say this, they had a combined 67 shots or something around those lines. One game they had 38 shots, one game they had 29 shots. I vividly remember it. Goalkeeper had like 11 saves one game, 10 saves the next game. Thinking to myself, okay, that's why Ancelotti not really freshening things up. Now with Xabi Alonso in, you're going to dominate them again. But it was the same kind of slow, lethargic, methodical, play. There were some nice passes from Trent. There was some, nice Arda Güler in the first half, loose touches every single time. Franco Mastantuono didn't really offer much. Vinny, Mbappe didn't really do. Nobody was really impressive in that first half. But Madrid do as Madrid do. 2 quick fire goals and they hit back right away. Arda Güler it was a great ball from Alvaro Carreras, who's been actually one of the best performers for Madrid this season at left back. He's been great. Floats it, a beautiful ball to the back post. Dean Huijsen heads it back to Arda Güler. Easy tap in. And then like a minute later, Vinny running through. I think he has Mbappe to his right, ignores him, chops to his left, scuffs the finish, and it goes in. And that was the game. The 38th minute, the game ended after 38 minutes because Madrid stopped playing. They were so too comfortable. I think because they think we dominated this team last year. It's Mallorca. They're not gonna do much. And Mallorca don't really do too much anyways. But it was just a poor game from that point on. And I expect more from Xabi Alonso's side because what I saw from him in Bayer Leverkusen, they continue to attack. They continue to dominate. They continue to probe. They find shot after shot, chance after chance. They score goals. So I'm struggling to see why they look so. I mean, it's the first 3 games of the season. They haven't really had a preseason too much, so they need a little bit more time to build things up. But with the international break, you're losing all your players, right? All Madrid players go with their countries. I can't even think of a Madrid player in the starting lineup that wouldn't go away to their country. Maybe Trent or something. But you're not gonna have time to train them over this 2 weeks anyways. So it might be more the same when they come back, but let's see what it is. Now, Rayo Vallecano, Barcelona. Rayo's one of those teams that are incredibly difficult to play against. If you watch La Liga on a consistent basis, you know that Rayo are not a team that you could just go and beat, right? They've struggled. Madrid has struggled against them. So has Barcelona. So has Atletico Madrid. It's not an easy team to beat. So in that first half, you look at how Rayo set up. They're attacking that high line, which every team is going to do. It's just a matter of can you get it right or not, right? Andre Ratu, the right back, I think he's Romanian. He's a very, very good athletic, attack-minded right back. Think of a poor man's Hakimi. With all due respect to him, he's like a poor man's Hakimi. He's going to come inside, run in field, find passes, athletic. He's just a great, great player, right? So they have some talented players in Rayo Vallecano. I never looked at this game and thought Barcelona was going to blow them away. And they really didn't. It was a contentious penalty in my opinion. I don't really look at it and think to myself, oh, that's a clear penalty on Yamal. But he steps up, takes the penalty, great finish, little celebration. You know that's his. I don't really like it, but who am I to say I don't like whatever Lamine Yamal is doing? He's his own person. But from that point on, it was just Rayo pressing. Rafinha subbed off. Rafinha's been poor. He's been poor. And I think Hansi Flick kind of touched on it and said, our team is playing too selfish. I think everybody is, it's a young team. So when you succeed with a young team, there's every likelihood that guys start getting big-headed. Start thinking that they're above the team. And I'm curious to see if that quote was aimed at Yamal. Because the way Yamal has been playing these first 3 games, spamming shots, poor decisions, trying to do too much. The Yamal from last season let the game come to him. He always looked in flow state, always looked in control. A lot of these games, he's looked out of control, trying to do things that, yes, he can do them, but let the game come to you. Don't force it. Don't think because I have the 10, all the attention I got from last season, I need to prove something. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. If you just continue playing the way you're playing the last 2 seasons and just increasing your output, which will happen as you become more comfortable in front of goals, as you become more of a calm player, it will naturally happen. But he's forcing things too much, and it's hurting the team, in my opinion, right? And Rayo Vallecano find their way back into the game, and now Barcelona have fallen behind in the title race. And people might say, oh, it's only 1 game, but guys, in La Liga is not like the Premier League. You can't just drop points. Because whoever you're fighting against, Barca or Madrid, they hardly drop points. We saw last season in the race, every time Madrid dropped points, so did Barca. Every time Barca dropped points, so did Madrid. So you can't drop points when the other team doesn't drop points. So it's going to be interesting to see how the title race kind of unfolds. I still have Barcelona winning it, but wow, that's a disappointing result and performance as well. I think that's the more worrying thing. Little note on Atletico Madrid. Wow, 1-1 with Alaves. Another winless game. 2 draws, 1 loss, I think, this season. I talked about it in the Champions League preview. I said, Diego Simeone, it's stale. It's stale, it's boring. It's no matter how many attacking players you sign, it's just boring and it's dry now. It just seems forced. And I don't know where they go from here, but I don't see Atletico Madrid winning the league. I don't see them challenging the Champions League. I just see this team kind of just falling flat and falling away. And it's disappointing to watch, but we've watched this for years now, right? Since the days of Diego Godin and Koke in his peak and Saul and Griezmann, and I think those days are gone. Honestly, I think they're better off moving on from Simeone. I know it's not the kind of thing where they want to fire him because of what he means to the club. I think a lot of younger fans will never understand what Atletico Madrid were before Simeone. All due respect to Atletico Madrid, I didn't really hear of them. I didn't really know of them, right? When I heard of Spain, it was only Barca and Madrid. So he's done a lot for the club, but I think it's just gone stale, right? Another win for Bayern, 3-2 against Augsburg. It was a game where they were comfortably ahead. Marco Olise again. Marco Olise, just he's keep watching because this guy he's coming. Luis Diaz again. Like I said, him in the Bundesliga is a match made in heaven. He's going to cook that league. That's just the kind of league where players like Diaz will thrive. But Bayern, the main concern with them is always going to be their defense, right? I don't trust Bayern's defense, right? Conor Lama going forward, great attacking kind of right back, central midfielder. He's not a defender, right? What I mentioned with Mateus Nunes earlier, that's the same thing with him in terms of he's just in a worse league. He's not a defender, right? Stanisic on the left side, he's not a left back. He's more of a center back, three in the back, kind of. So Kimmich, yes, he's great on the ball, but he's not a protector of your back four. So Emmanuel Neuer, yes, he has some great moments, but he's aging. So it's a defense where they can be got at. It's not gonna really matter in the grand scheme of things in the Bundesliga, but in the Champions League, when you need that defense to wake up and stand strong, I think they're gonna struggle. So I'm just to see what happens with Bayern moving forward, but that defense needs work. Erik ten Hag is gone though. Leverkusen blow a 3-1 lead against Bremen after being up 3-1. I think Bremen had a red card probably like 30 minutes in the game. And they still find a way to just flop it, right? This Leverkusen team, they don't defend. They don't play as well as they obviously not because they lost half their team. But Erik ten Hag, my goodness, after 2 games already, this is embarrassing at this point. His last couple, years as a manager have been kind of embarrassing. And that's all I have to say about Bayern Leverkusen. Let's see what happens, who they sign, who the new manager is, but nah, that ain't it. That is not it. Napoli and Juventus win. Napoli squeezed past Cagliari, the 95th minute goal from Frank Anguissa, and Juventus beat Genoa. I think it was a goal by Vlahovic. Forgive me if I don't. Yeah, Vlahovic in the 73rd minute. Forgive me if I forgot that. And when you're watching 5 different leagues every weekend, you tend to miss a couple of details here and there. But for the most part, I know what's going on. But squeaky wins, nothing really to write home about. But these are the 2 teams that I had in the Serie A title race. I expect them to go neck and neck with Inter Milan, who lost to Udinese at home. And Udinese, guys, you might not hear a lot about Udinese, period. But it's one of those teams that, like I said about Rayo Vallecano in La Liga, that's kind of who Udinese are in the Italian league. You can't just beat this team. You cannot just beat this team. They will fight you. And that's what they always do in these big games. They fight, they graft, and they find ways to squeak draws, sneak a win. But Inter Milan, I spoke about them as well in my Champions League preview. they're not the same team. Much of the same players, new additions, they're not going to perform the same in my estimation, and we're kind of already seeing that this season. They performed well last week. I think the 4-0 win was against 5-0, sorry, Torino, but Inter, nah, it ain't it. Last week we talked about PSG a little bit. PSG, the first 2 games, 1-0 wins. I'm looking at them thinking, are they kind of going a little stale? No, they haven't had a preseason. They haven't had a preseason. So this is kind of their preseason right now. So they're warming up. And boy, did they warm up. I'm looking at my SofaScore notifications. PSG 1-0. Okay. It's to lose. You can expect that. 2-0. Okay. 3-0. Okay, what minute of the game? What minute of the game are we in? Because why are PSG up 4-0? Let me make sure I get this right. PSG were up 4-0. I think like what? After the 31st minute. They were up 4-0 after the 31st minute. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I witnessing right now? Ended up winning 6-3. Joao Neves was probably one of the greatest central midfielder hat-tricks of all time. 2 bicycle kicks and a banger. I'm thinking, what is this guy on? I thought this guy was more of like a double pivot DM. Now he's moving like a box-to-box midfielder last season. Now he's a goal-scoring midfielder. This guy's like upgrading new items in his upgrade package every single season. What the hell is he gonna be like next season? Like, wow. 6-3, but the 3 is the main thing. PSG don't keep clean sheets in the French league. Okay? Say what you want about Donnarumma. Chevalier comes in. He's been shaky. So they're gonna win the league. But it's just interesting to see 6 goals. They're kind of back to form. Joao Neves proving that he's more than just a tackler, a nippy kind of player. Guy can get goals too. He has a little bit of tech to him. So interesting result from PSG. Interesting results everywhere. And now international break comes at an interesting time. Gives some teams time to integrate some of their new signings. Depends. I'll just see who goes away to international duty. Some guys stay and kind of try to acclimatize to their team, their teammates, or if they just go off to international duty. Interesting to see what happens with them. But yeah, that's the recap of the past weekend of top class European football. FIYIN'S Final Take episode 3. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.